So let's do a recap of what we've seen so far. We're going to start a brand new Cornell note, right? All right. So here it goes. Yesterday, we did a recap of the video I had left you the other day, and it was involving zero pairs. Remember that? And then we said that zero pair is also known as the additive inverse property. And I showed you how I dug a hole, the dirt, the hole is negative, the dirt is positive, and both of these are opposites, and that gives me 0. And overall, that was the additive inverse property, yes? All right. From there, I said, okay, let's start with our objective. I can define and represent integers using integer tiles and zero pairs. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. I can define and represent integers using integer tiles and zero pairs. So before you write it in your Cornell note, think about the question, what is the concept for today, and what are we doing with it? So tell your neighbor what the concept for today is. Yeah. We got this, right? Integers and zero pairs, and what are we doing? We're defining and representing. So copy the objective. If you have your colored pens by now, then go ahead and use your colored pens. And it goes at the bottom left of your Cornell note. Okay? Copy that. Okay, so as you're finishing off your objective, we know that the main concept for today is also integers and zero pairs, yes? But let's start with integers. Since that's our concept, it goes in the center of your Freyer model. Is that correct? So write that word in the center of your Freyer model, integers. So it should look something like this. Yes? So now, since we know the definition, without looking at your notes, write your definition for integers. Now, some of us are like, oh, man, I don't remember. Then start by doing some examples, writing some examples here. If you still don't remember, then write some hashtags to see if maybe that lets you remember your definition. And then once you have that, do at least 2 non-examples. And hopefully that'll bring back your definition. Once again, we're doing this without looking at yesterday's notes, right? I want to see how much you retained, okay? I'll give you some time for that. All right. So hopefully you have most of it. However, you might not. So I want you to share with your neighbor and see if they have what you don't have, and help them fill it out, please. Talk it over with your neighbor, see what is it that you're missing. I'll give you some time for that. All right, so let's see where we're at. Your definition should read something like this. Whole numbers, including their opposites. Hands if you got something like that. Bam, not bad, not bad. Some examples should include counting numbers, their opposites, something like that. Yes? I said add 2 non-examples. You should have included maybe a decimal and a fraction or something like that. Yes? And then for hashtags, whole numbers or no fractions or decimals and opposites. Okay? So, so what am I trying to show you with this? That you came in today and you're like, man, that means I need to know my stuff, right? So please, pretty please, whenever I assign a home play for you at home, at least when you open up to do the home play, give another review to the notes that we did. Just kind of like glance through and see what the definition was so you can refresh your memory. Does that make sense? All right? So that was that. All right? Next, yesterday we went over the additive inverse property. You guys remember that? We don't need to copy it today because we did that yesterday. And then I showed you some examples. And from those examples, we concluded a definition. You guys remember that? And some of you said, yeah, you take a number, any number, and its opposite, and that should equal to 0 or something like that in those words. Okay? And we also said the additive inverse property was also known as what? Zero pairs. Okay. So far, so good. Next, underneath this for your model, the one you did today, I want you to write the next property, identity property of addition. Identity property of addition. Write it right underneath the little box there. Identity property of addition. Identity property of addition. And just like yesterday, I'm going to ask you to put your writing utensils down, look at the examples, and you're going to have to come up with a definition. Now, for home play, I gave you a question similar to this, and I'm pretty sure you Googled it or whatever it is you did, noodled it, whatever, and fine, you came up with a definition. But right now, I want you to actually look at it and see what your noodle does. Here we go. Writing utensils down, look up to the screen. This is the identity property of addition. Pretty straightforward. Okay. Talk it over with your neighbor. See what's going on with the property and see if you can come up with a definition for that. I'll give you some time for that. All right. I'll take a volunteer to get us started with a definition. Yes? Okay. A number plus 0. What else? Equals the original number. Hands if you agree with that. Pretty much, yes. So, write that down for your definition and write one example of your own. These are mine. Make up your own example at least to have there for your notes. Copy that. All right. So, now that we have our second property, identity property of addition. What was our first property that we covered yesterday? The additive inverse property, right? So we covered so far two, additive inverse and identity property of addition. Okay. So, let's do some work with those properties. So I want you to turn your Cornell note over to the back, and we're going to get started with example 1. Example 1. Copy this example 1 at the top left. Example 1, and it says, show a zero pair using algebra tiles. And they give us the sample -7 plus 7. -7 plus 7. Copy that. All right, so here we go. Let's start off. They're asking us to use algebra tiles. So what is the first number that we need to represent? So get 7 negatives. Now, on the video that I'm going to upload later on, you're not going to see the tiles because I've been having difficulty with my computer and the camera. Somehow it didn't link. Maybe I need a new computer. So if you won the lottery last night, there you go. But I am going to show you on the video how to draw your tiles once you have them. So that's 7 negatives. Underneath those 7 negatives, you're going to put the next number, which is 7 positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right. So how does that look like on paper? So it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You circle your zero pair. Therefore, this is representing 0. So what we're seeing here in class, that means we're going to represent this one first. So we start off with, thank you, 7 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. and then 7 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Circle your 0 pair, and we're left with 0. Very simple, yes? But the important thing to remember is the property that we just used. Tell your neighbor what property of the two that we learned did we just use. All right. Who said the additive inverse property? That is correct. That's the only one we use right now. So what I'm trying to show you is so that you can identify it as we're doing math work here. Everybody with me so far? All right, let's do another one. Clear that up for a little bit. I'll put them over here. And let's write example 2. Example 2. Example 2. Here goes an easy one. I want you to show me 3 plus negative 3. Use the tiles, draw your picture, and see what you get. I'll give you some time for that. Copy that. All right, so you put your 3 positives, your 3 negatives, and your picture should look like this. Or maybe you put the negatives underneath, right? You circle your 0 pair, so therefore this represents 0. For those of you on the video, this is what we're doing here. We started with 3 positives, then we did 3 negatives, circle your 0 pair. That means this is 0. Hands if you got that. Okay? And tell your neighbor the property or properties used. So far so good? Yes? All right. Who said the additive inverse property? Okay, good. Let's move on. Example Q. And I want you to write 4 plus negative 3. Example Q, 4 plus negative 3. Simplify that. Use tiles, then identify your 0 pair, simplify and see what you get. I'll give you some time. Copy that. Go. All right, let's see. Who got positive 1? Okay. Yeah, and it should look like you started with 1, 2, 3, 4 positives. Then you went to 3 negatives. You circle your 0 pair. Got rid of the 0 pair. Okay. And you're left with that. Okay. So now, what properties did we use, or what property did we use? Yeah. Additive inverse. Who saw the additive inverse? Yes. Is that it? No. Let me show you the other one. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. This is the additive inverse, right? Now let me rewrite what we have here. What do you have here? What is this? 0 plus, what is this? 1, and that should be what? 1, and what property is this? Identity, property of addition. Does everybody see it now? Okay, so once again, what we just saw is that this is 0 plus this is 1, and what we just saw here that we also use the addition property, identity property of addition. Let's do one more, last one. Example mega Q. Let's do negative 5 plus 2. Negative 5 plus 2. Example mega Q. Negative 5 plus 2. Give you a little bit of time for that. Copy that. All right, this should be a piece of cake by now, yes? Everyone, what did we get at the end? Negative 3, yes? Property or properties used? Properties, that is correct. The additive inverse property and the identity property of addition. Is that correct? Good. So now, here goes the last part of filling up these notes. So we're done with the 2 properties between yesterday and today, yes? Flip your Cornell note over. And if you notice at the bottom, there's a summary section, yes? All right, so here goes the summary. Think about the property we learned yesterday and the property we learned today. Are we there? And I want you to think of what would be the most important thing to remember that you can label yourself and write a note for yourself at the bottom in the summary. So think about it. I think the most important thing for me to remember is blah, 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 and maybe write an example. Does that make sense? So do the summary, please, right now. What would be the most important thing to remember? Write that for yourself. And as you're finishing up, I'm going to go ahead and post the home plate for tonight. Let me just switch screens. I'll give you some time to finish. All right, home plate is up on the screen. Go ahead and copy that. And it reads, represent and simplify the following pairs of numbers using tiles and zero pairs. What property or properties did you use to simplify? So here I just want to make sure you get practice in identifying the property or properties used. 1 through 10, copy that. All right, guys, so as soon as you copy the home play, that's the home play for tonight. Enjoy your home play. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.